It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, it's time for my July 4th special. I've titled it July 4th Print Industry Picnic Satire. I started thinking about the industry's actors having July 4th picnics. And then I started thinking, well, who the hell would show up at these picnics? What would the themes of these picnics be? Who would crash the picnics? Man, I came up with all kinds of different scenarios, and some of this stuff could be true, some of this stuff could be totally outrageous, but at the end of the day, you know how our industry is. Sometimes it's from the outrageous that gives birth to the truth. Now, I will tell you this is a satire episode. So some folks could get upset, they could start crying. So do me a favor, my friends. If people call you up crying, comfort them. Tell them it'll be okay. Then hang the damn phone up, get on with your life, and I'm going to get on with the show, and we're going to start with that first rumor around 4th of July picnics in the industry. It comes from Keypoint Intelligence. They canceled the largest July 4th Wiener Award. Apparently, Keypoint Intelligence was going to run around to all these picnics, and they were going to measure the wieners to find out who had the biggest wiener, and they were going to give them a BLI award. And then someone from Human Resources at Keypoint Intelligence said, there's no way in hell you could do that. If you do that, kind of an award, the largest wiener. The end of the day with Ray would have so much fun with that, it would be crazy. And they're right about that. Let's see what else we got here, ladies and gentlemen. After 6 years of disgusting financial performance, in efforts to return to being a highly profitable company, Kodak Minolta cancels July 4th parking lot picnic. Apparently, Kodak Minolta, we all know, we've seen the financials, train wreck, financial mess, right? They were going to have the picnic, they canceled it, the parking lot's empty. But don't worry, Kodak Minolta employees, because Sharp, being good neighbors, invites Kodak Minolta employees to the Sharp July 4th picnic in the grass. You can see the Kodak Minolta crew over there in the grass on the Sharp lawn. This was so exciting, and Sharp, what a great thing you did there for your neighbors. TD SYNNEX invites potential acquisitions to their July 4th parking lot picnic. Dex Imaging shows up with race car. Is Dex now selling themselves? After Dex Tech's president's exit. I mean, think about Dex. I mean, holy smokes. You know, Dex Imaging. We're not going to do IT. We're going to do IT. We start an IT company called Dex Tech. We bring in a president. The president doesn't last very long. He leaves. Is it time for Dex just to sell the whole company to TD SYNNEX? Because I'm envisioning the Dex race car in the TD SYNNEX parking lot, all the people in the TD SYNNEX parking lot. Will we soon see the furniture move it in to the TD SYNNEX building? Holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to pay attention to that rumor. Mega Dealer has July 4th celebration at Hot Dog Hall of Fame. This was interesting. I mean, think about this. You're going to the Hall of Fame, the Hot Dog Hall of Fame, to have your 4th of July picnic. You're a Mega Dealer. And there's two windows. One window selling hot dogs for $100. The other window, you can get free Phantom shares in a financially non-performing Mega Dealer. And folks, you can see where everybody went. They'd rather pay $100 for a hot dog than get free Phantom shares in a non-financially performing Mega Dealer. Totally amazing. That must have been a hell of a picnic there at the Hot Dog Hall of Fame. Great America Leasing invites Wells Fargo to 4th of July parking lot picnic. I mean, this is crazy stuff. I mean, think about it. You got all the Great America folks out there in the parking lot. You know, they're celebrating the 4th of July. And then there's the Wells Fargo coach turned into a hot dog wagon. And folks, I'm thinking about this. I'm looking inside this hot dog wagon, and I see an ex-president, an ex-chief operating officer, and an ex-chief financial officer serving hot dogs to the Great America people. And I'm thinking, are these ex-employees, ex-Great America employees? What? This got crazy. I mean, but holy smokes. It's pretty believable, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, wow, these picnics are fascinating. Fujifilm invites Kodak Minolta leaders to July 4th picnic, which turns into an importance of profit intervention led by Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, you know, the money guy. This is great because, you know, Kodak Minolta, the U.S. leadership has displayed some pretty, well, elementary views on financials. Remember that thing about the impairment charge and stuff? So I guess Fujifilm invites the U.S. leaders to this picnic. It turns into an intervention led by Dave Ramsey on the importance of profit. This is crazy stuff. But you can see a couple of executives have already showed up. Their heads are hiding behind that banner, so I'm not sure which ones they are. But boy, that's pretty interesting. In celebration of Xerox taking over Lexmark, Xerox tells Lexmark to throw away egg rolls and serve American hot dogs at this year's July 4th lawn party. Folks, this is a big deal. I mean, Xerox ripping from the clutches of the grip of the Chinese Communist Party and bringing Lexmark back home to America. One of their first decisions, stop serving egg rolls at the 4th of July picnic. We're serving hot dogs, meat's back on the menu. Meat's back on the menu. This is exciting. Do you remember when I did that Satire episode around Easter time a couple years ago? When on the Lexmark front lawn, they were having an Easter egg hunt, and instead of eggs, they were using fortune cookies, and kids were all upset about it. It was crazy. And it was right around the time that China was flying that balloon all over the place. And you could see the balloons flying over the Lexmark facility, and they were pulling up the rabbits, the Easter bunnies, because it was the year of the rabbit back in China. Boy, that was really upsetting stuff, right? No more of that. No more of that. We're going to go back to good old American fun on the front lawn of Lexmark. Now Xerox. Wow, that's exciting stuff. A lot of digital printing crashes. Aries Capital, New York City rooftop July 4th party, hoping to get hundreds of millions that they won't have to ever pay back. I mean, I think of that. So you got to land to digital printing, right? They're crashing the rooftop party of Aries Capital because they're hearing through the grapevine, if you borrow money from Aries Capital, you get hundreds of millions of dollars from them. They'll put your loans in non-accrual for over a year and then eventually just wipe it out. You might never ever have to pay it back. I mean, what a great place for them to get the money they're looking for. Wow. HP Subscription Inc. customers demanded there is a dunk tank and baseball bats at this year's July 4th picnic. It seems many are mad at CEO about program. I mean, we've all seen this stuff online, right? I mean, this HP subscription nonsense. People are like, this is a bunch of bullshit. We hate it. We hate it. We hate it. You saw the lawsuits, everything, all kinds of stuff around these subscriptions. So, hey, we'll come to the picnic, but we want a dunk tank because we want to put that CEO in a bucket of water, and you better give us a bat so we can beat the hell out of those printers. Holy smokes, that must have been one hell of a party on the front lawn of HP. Static Control invites Xerox to their communist summer picnic, hoping that Xerox will buy them like they did Lexmark. This is a big story, folks. You know, Static Control, they should have the China flag hanging in front of that building there, right? Because it's not an American company. It's owned by Nine Star, and we all know that Nine Star was the owners of Lexmark, and Nine Star's the one that got banned by the Department of Homeland Security over the forced slave labor thing. Terrible, terrible stuff. Well, Static Control is one of those subsidiaries. And if they're going to have a party at 4th of July, are the communists going to let them have a 4th of July party, or are they going to have a communist summer picnic? And then I started thinking about that episode I did on Easter time on the Lexmark front lawn, and it looks very, very familiar. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I do see a little boy screaming in there. Let's pull it up and see what he's doing. Oh my God, they're giving fortune cookies out. This little kid opens his fortune cookie. It says Kids for Communism. He's screaming, I don't want to be a communist. I don't want to be a communist, Mom and Dad. I don't want to be a communist. I'm not sure if this kid is one of the employees' kids at Static Control, but obviously he doesn't want to be a communist. Neither does Static Control, I would think. Ladies and gentlemen, ECI invites wannabe ERP and DCA companies to provide comedy for the eAutomate July 4th picnic. I thought this was pretty interesting. You can see the comic up there. On its shirt it says, my ERP is still in development, but it's better. And everybody in eAutomate's just laughing their ass off. Oh, this is so funny, you know. And then there's another comic that goes up there. Let's see what he's going to talk about. Oh, sold my shoes to pay lawyer. Please buy my DCA tool. You can see the guy's barefoot there. I mean, I'm sure that the eAutomate folks were just cracking up at their July 4th picnic. Wow, wow. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the last one. Pros Elite invites the remaining Next Era customers to the Pros Elite Clearwater Beach July 4th party so they can reunite with their friends that left Next Era for Pros Elite. Wow, this is just crazy stuff. Is this true? I mean, I can see the Next Era Volkswagen van over here, and you got the Pros Elite having a big party on the beach. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, this is just some crazy stuff. Employee of mega dealer telling his daughter that his Phantom shares are worthless, so she won't be going to college, but he hopes she's enjoying the July 4th parade. Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to say happy 4th of July to all of you, and I look forward to seeing everybody on Monday, because everybody watching me knows this, status control. Oh, I did it again. Every time I talk about static control, I screw up my status quo quote at the end. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck there, and I'll see you all on Monday.